Tem um momento na carreira que precisamos dar um passo além. É hora de fazer uma pós-graduação. Só que muitas vezes o custo pesa no bolso, inviabilizando tudo. Com a pós-graduação do Senac, você não tem esse problema. Cursos com até 50% de desconto e muito mais tempo para pagar. TCC opcional, modelo flexível com aulas presenciais e online e alguns cursos com apenas 12 meses de duração. Não tem mais desculpa, hein? Saiba mais em sp.senac.br/pós-graduação.
All right. Welcome back to the Division. Woo! Who's ready for the weekend? This guy right here is. As you see, we are keeping up with our Friday shows for now. Some news. Thanks to your votes and our amazing guests, we have not only been nominated, but now we're in the finals of 2 of the 3 categories of the Veteran Podcast Awards. So if you want to get on Facebook Live with the Broken Jarhead on the 5th at 7 p.m. Central Time, you can see the Veteran Podcast Awards presentations. Thank you for your support. This week, I have another veteran entrepreneur, or Vetrepreneur, on here. Our guest this week comes from the 1st Brigade Combat Team, 101st Airborne Division Air Assault, Bastogne. He deployed and supported the global war on terrorism to beautiful Baji, Iraq. He then took the leap and left the military and started his own path, going to college and then starting his own job after trying to climb the corporate ladder. He is the epitome of grit and drive. So without further ado, let's get Kevin Barnes on here. All right, let's welcome to the show Kevin Barnes, veteran and now a background investigator. How you doing, Kevin?
Hey, man, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, man. It's great that we were able to link in together via our shared journey through the Bastogne Brigade. So if you wouldn't mind, just try to give us a little background of you from as far back as you want to how you got who you are now.
Yeah, so I have a pretty unique, I'll keep it short, but I have a unique upbringing. So came from very humble beginnings, came from a family of pretty much, my mom and dad were pretty bad on drugs and literally left one day. My mom divorced my dad, so he wasn't there, but my mom literally left one day and just literally never came back. So I actually grew up in like the foster care system, grew up in a boys' home, and then left there, did a year of college after I graduated high school, partied a little too much my freshman year. Obviously, I grew up in a boys' home, so I didn't really have the freedom a lot of people had in like high school and stuff because I was a little bit more locked down. But then did a year of college and realized that I was 45 minutes away from the University of Georgia. I had some friends there, a big UGA fan. So I was there almost every weekend. And then pretty much from there, that's when I decided that I wanted to give the military a try. I was always I have a military family and some of my uncles and grandfathers within the military. And then I'd always wanted or had a thought in my mind of joining, but, I was at a kind of crossroads after that kind of first year of college. And then that's when I joined and did the military thing, 101st Airborne, Bastogne, deployed to Iraq in 07-08 during that last 15-month surge push. And then, so yeah, that's pretty much brings me to my career. And then pretty much from there, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I kind of started doing security work while I was finishing my degree, got a business degree. And then while I was doing some private security work, kind of married them both, got into business, started running some businesses, and then kind of brought me to kind of my PI investigation, background screening investigations that I do today. So in a nutshell, that was the short version. So that's kind of where what brought me to where I am today.
That's a pretty good journey, and being able to get through that survivor mindset, I guess, to get through out of the foster care system, and then, of course, like you said, going a little wild that first year into the college world. That I think that happens to a lot of people that either don't have an upbringing where they're allowed to go out and have a good time, or like yourself, who was kind of trapped into that foster care system where you're trying to do what's right to keep and maintain a sense of stability as you're growing up. But you made it out, and of course you got the serve with Bastogne,
after a little year partying there. Who were you with, first or second battalion?
Yeah, so I was with 1st Battalion, 426 Echo Company.
Okay. All right. I was
with 327, but I was with the 426 detachment.
Okay. Yeah, they used to be right behind us when I was there. I was there in the 90s, and then I came back to Fort Campbell years later and wound up in strike for my Afghanistan tours. So I understand wholeheartedly the pain.
Yeah, I haven't been back. A lot of guys, a lot of brothers and stuff. I got some brothers that kind of stayed in the area and do some things, and I always keep saying, I'm gonna make it back, but I've not been back since I left, so I'll have to make it back up there someday.
Yeah, well, a lot has changed. A lot's still the same, of course. Of course, 1st Brigade still is sitting in the same exact spot they were in even when I was there in the 90s. And then, of course, when you were there, and now they're still just a little more spread out in the same block. So not a lot has changed for them.
Yeah, I heard that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I still work right on Fort Campbell. I train soldiers every day.
Oh, okay. So I heard recently, I'm a part of the association on Facebook and stuff, but I heard that did they dissolve the Rakkasans, and are they now a part of Currahee? Is that the thing, or did something like that happen? I heard something like that.
Vice versa. They dissolved the Currahee and spread out their battalions through all the other brigades.
Gotcha. That's what I saw. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't been up there, so I'd like to go back. I'm sure Fort Campbell is one of those bases that is so big that it's, even when I was there, it's almost like, I live in Birmingham now, so the joke in Birmingham is they do like 10-year road work, and I remember kind of Fort Campbell is kind of like that. Like there's always something going on, so I imagine that it's grown, and it was already big before, but I imagine it's grown a lot more.
There's a lot more newer buildings, I guess, now. A lot of the World War II buildings are finally gone. They're still tearing some down now and trying to get the quality of life better for Joe and Josephine in the barracks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, some of them barracks are pretty raunchy, and Joe and Josephine are pretty raunchy, too. So you got to either get rid of them or make a better house.
Yeah, I did the barracks living for a little bit when I first got there, and I tell you what, I don't know if it was for me just living in a boys' home, living in like a shared community. We all do it in training, but training, then when you get to your duty station, it's different, right? Because you have more freedoms and everything. So it's almost like you want your own space, and then doing that in the barracks. I mean, I get the parties for the young guys and stuff, but man, I moved out. As soon as I got back from deployment, I think I moved over to it was like the Oak Grove area, and I couldn't see myself going back. So man, those barracks, yeah, some of them are raunchy, and there's some raunchy stuff going on in them.
Yes, some bad movies are made in there, and I wouldn't suggest staying there often.
No, not at all.
So what made you want to become a background investigator?
Yeah, the funny story that I always tell, I have interns that work for me, and, I get interns from the University of Alabama, Birmingham, which is in downtown Birmingham, and they have a criminal justice program. I started doing an internship at our company, and these guys are criminal justice majors, and, a lot of times criminal justice majors, they want to go be, a cop or corrections, some forensics investigations. I didn't have that dream. I didn't want to be a police officer growing up. And the funny thing that I always tell them when I introduce kind of them into the internship, I said, you know what? Nobody raises their hand in the 5th grade and says, I want to be a background investigator when I grow up. Nobody does. It's not the wheelhouse. So it's so unique that everybody in our industry has a really unique background. And like I said, I have a business background. And I was a human resource manager. When I left active duty, I reclassed my job and became a human resource specialist in the reserves. And I was with the 290th Infantry Brigade out of Nashville in their S1. And that's when I really started having the idea of wanting to do something. And then, like I said before, when I kind of went into the security field, I really kind of wanted to find a way to you understand, and all the brothers and sisters out there, they understand, once you have that lifestyle of a military lifestyle, it never leaves you. The mindset never leaves you. The work ethic never leaves you. And sometimes you kind of do miss a little bit of the tactical doing things. And so that's kind of how I found the background screening industry, was from security over into kind of doing investigative type work. The company that I was working for, being our security, private security region manager in Tennessee, we owned a subsidiary company, which is Investigations Corporation of America. And because of my background, my business background, we were looking to grow that. It was a smaller company. And so our CEO had approached me and said, hey, I know you don't really have a background in this, but you have a military background. And he's a Ranger, by the way, that was with the 101st. So I think that's maybe why he tagged me. He was like, hey, you have a business background. We really want to grow this small company. I just need you to grow the company, do some business development. And so that's kind of how I got pushed into it. And then from there, I learned the business and learned the kind of the background business, even though I didn't have a criminal justice degree. It's very straightforward. And then once the industry itself is kind of a revolving network of education and just the different people that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. You really learn it. It's kind of a really neat industry where it's almost like a self-contained, helix that just kind of keeps revolving. And you do have people that come from a military background or a police background that are in it that do well. But for me, for a business, that's how I jumped into it. And then when I joined the business, I actually decided to merge it with our parent company, Security Engineers. And then that's when we turned it into an investigative division firm. And we started doing private investigations, skip trace, locate, social media profiling. So taking the background screening, pre-employment screening, we turned that into doing more due diligence, company profiles, merger and acquisition type due diligence work. If a company's looking to purchase another company, they'll hire a firm like ourselves to kind of put together a background of the entire company, including maybe players, investors involved. So we do that from kind of just the pure background screening. And then we also do workman's comp and general liability type surveillance work. So we get hired by attorneys' offices, defense attorneys, that if there's a workman's comp potential fraud or red flag. So we'll actually go and do days of surveillance on these individuals. And then, we turn that body of work and documentation and any footage that we've captured over to, and then they can then decide if it's either a fraud or they'll deny their workman's comp claim and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's an interesting field. And like I said, if I would have known in 5th grade that this is what I wanted to do, I would have said, hey, sign me up. And it's a great career, and I will definitely be doing this as long as I can do it.
It's definitely, like you said, it's definitely not one of the ones that are broadcasted by your high school counselors or your teachers there to telling you what job you should go into. We feel you're good. That's definitely not one that comes up much at all. There's also a few others out there that they don't talk about because they don't know anything about them. But they don't understand, like you thrive in it and you're doing well. There might be someone out there that tries it and doesn't like it, but they like something about it that made them go that way. Do you ever have any aspirations of starting your own different wing of it on your own?
As a private investigator, there's a lot of people that get into private investigation work, and they will do subcontracted work on their own to kind of that because in this industry you can kind of you can have a full career as an independent contractor where people just hire you, and we do hire 1099 type contractors to do work for us. If we have something that's a little bit far away or in another state or something like that, we can 1099 an independent contractor to hire them on. So I've thought about it, and I don't know if I'll ever start my own business. A business itself, it's so hard to start from the bottom. Not that it's impossible to do, but the company that I work for it's an expanding business, and I could see myself, if we ever wanted to re-branch off the business and become a separate entity. But I think at my age and how much I enjoy kind of the system that I'm in now, and, we're all routine guys, like all of us military guys, we're all routine guys. To kind of start something else, I could see doing it for the money, but I'm not really a money guy. I'm pretty comfortable. So, if the opportunity ever presented itself, I would keep my options open, but, I'm pretty happy of just kind of how this industry is.
That's good. And that's what it's all about. If you're happy, and every morning you wake up that you had that motivation to move forward, that means it's a good thing that you're doing. I mean, we have brothers out there that wake up and just grudge every day. And say, I hate this. I'm not doing it. But they also didn't try to find that niche that they're good at, that there's something out there that they're good at. They just haven't found it yet.
Yeah, that's what I struggled with, kind of going back to my story, that was, when I decided in college, so before I even joined the military, at 19 years old, nobody has their stuff together to know what you're going to do. And anybody that's listening, man, no matter if you're 19 or, 50, if you're at a crossroads of not knowing what to do, like you said, there is something out there. Don't be afraid to try stuff. Because that's kind of how it was for me. If I never would have, when the CEO approached me and said, hey, I know you don't know how to do this. You don't have a background in doing it. It's not like you have a police background, investigator background. Like, how do you do this? Take the chance, take that leap of faith. A lot of guys, when I talk to young guys nowadays, I'll talk to guys that want to join the military, and they'll, as a veteran, they'll always ask you like, hey, what about this? And, the one piece of advice I always give people, I don't tell them the good and bad. I say, find something that you can relate to find a career in. And that still stands true today. I know it's harder for some of the infantry guys and stuff to really kind of find something, but this is the type of industry that I would encourage anybody that ever wants to take a chance. Guys that have a military background, because of our mindset of such a routine, and just the kind of the way that we carry ourselves, people that have a military background really thrive in this industry. So yeah, it's about taking a leap of faith, and I'm glad I did, because it's one of those things that's really paid off.
It sounds like you have a lot of passion for it, and you're really excited about it, and that's what it's all about. I retired in 2015, and after 22 years of doing what my boots told me to do every day, it was hard to get that transition going. It took me about a year to find a job, and I landed a job I thought I would like, and I didn't like it. I stayed there for 2 years because I didn't want to be a statistic, because most veterans last about a year at their first job when they get out. So I said, I'll go 2. And right at the 2-year mark, I found a job, the job I'm in now, that I love. And I'm right back there training Joe, but I get to go home every night.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that I've seen a lot more of these veteran-based kind of systems. I know the VA does some stuff, but you kind of see these like third-party systems that are popping up to really help veterans like reintegrate and stuff like that. And those are great resources. Like you said, not being a statistic, I mean, it's hard for some people to make the transition back into civilian life as it is. But, really finding something that, scratches that itch, like I was talking about earlier, not knowing where you want to go and what you want to do and how it translates, being, like you said, I really do have a passion for what I do. Every day is different. Getting up, I have an excitement every single day. And, finding that really does make the best day possible, because, it's the old adage of, if you find something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's really how I feel. And I encourage anybody, if you're not happy in your job, society tells us what we should do. Hey, you need to go work, a sales job to make this much. Sometimes you have to take a chance. If you're not happy at that sales job, you're just going to be miserable. And what fun, we get one shot at this crazy thing we call life. And, especially for all the brothers and sisters out there, we answered the call, and getting back into civilian life, we gave up a part of our lives to serve our country. So it makes even more sense to come home and really enjoy the rest of it, right? No matter if you were in for 3 years or, 30 years. I mean, coming back and doing something you would really enjoy, it really does make a difference, I think, too, for quality of life as well.
Definitely quality of life, and that's a major thing there. I know I know people who teach, and they just they hate going in every day to deal with other people's children and deal with the mouths of those kids at them, but they do it because they think they have to, because that's what they know how to do. But there's other things they can do, and like you said, find that purpose, find that new point in light, that new target to get them going. And I think that would help a lot of people get out of that rut that they're in.
Yeah, and like you said too, find a purpose. I mean, that was a big motivator for me. My background, people that come through the foster care system, statistically speaking, especially in the 90s, where I came through the foster care system in the 90s, a lot of kids that came through with the same background that I have, a lot of them ended up in jail or on the streets. They didn't have a support system. A lot of us that come to that system, we didn't have that. And so, I really had to learn to essentially make my own goalpost, if you will. And then every time I wanted to do something, I went and did it, whether it be travel or job. Like, I had a don't say no attitude from everything from trying new food, going new places. And I really had to carve that out because I didn't have that. I didn't have the parents teaching me and stuff like that. And so I think that is what kind of created my fire of, like you said, finding the purpose. And it stays true today, even when I mentor, other people in my industry or things that I'm involved in outside of my work is encouraging. I'm not a motivational speaker. I don't pretend to be one, but I try to always give something to somebody else, because you don't know what track they're on. You don't, like you said, this may be a teacher that I come in contact with who's miserable, and just kind of through my giving them a little bit of keep your head up might change their life and give them a purpose. So I always try to do that, just from being, blessed in what I've been fortunate enough to have coming from what I came from. Even if something is just telling somebody, do something, take a leap of faith. What's it going to hurt? I mean, what are you going to do? Fall? All you have to do is get back up again. It's not going to hurt.
And that's what you're judged on: how many times you get up, not how many times you fall. If you keep getting up, saying I'll do it again, I'll try something else, then you're a success in my book, because that means you're not quitting. You're not making it a permanent solution to a temporary issue. You keep moving forward.
Exactly.
I know right now you're in Birmingham, so you live in the heart of the enemy territory there, for you being a UGA fan.
I know.
Do you fly your flag in front of your house or on your car?
I have. It's funny you say that, because I was in Tuscaloosa actually working a case this past weekend, and actually I was in Tuscaloosa this morning finishing up the case. Everybody here in Alabama, there's Auburn here, it's not as big. Like, there's so many more Alabama fans. I have flags, friends that come into my house. My wife, actually, she paints. So she painted me like a big Georgia G mural in my man cave office. So every chance I get, I try to rub it in their face. And it's a little hard to do because, Alabama's beat us the last couple of times in those big games. It's hard to have bragging rights when we lost the way that we did in the national championship game. But, I still do it proudly. And, I love being in Alabama sometimes, because I do get to, say UGA as much as I can.
That's outstanding. My niece, like I told you, she's doing her residency down there at UAB. Her husband also did his there. He's a UGA grad, and she is an Auburn grad. So they're right there with you. He's out there with his UGA stuff all the time. And me and him got to sit next to each other at the UGA Notre Dame game. I'm a Notre Dame fan. And we hung out all day, and then we sat in the game together and had a great time just watching a great football game.
That was such a good football game. My wife's dad's a huge Notre Dame fan, and he always goes up there for a couple games during the seasons. And we were watching that game at his house up in Knoxville, and that was such a great game. You couldn't have I mean, there were so many UGA fans there, but just game in general, it was such a good game. And just for them to have, we don't get to play Notre Dame that often. So seeing Notre Dame being the powerhouse that they are, I'm a big Notre Dame fan just in the sense of how, like, they're what do they play in, like, the independent, like they're classified independent. So when they get to play, so when they get to play these big SEC games and stuff, like, they're always ranked high, especially in the last couple of years, but you always want to see them play in Alabama, outside of a, conference, or a championship. You always want to see them have kind of that game. And so being that they were on the schedule that year, that was such a great game.
And that was my birthday present. It was my first Notre Dame game in my life, and I'll never forget it. I still have the videos on my phone of when they turned the house red in the fourth quarter. The videos, and me and him both standing there just having a great time.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was a good game. I think that was one of the first games that UGA did that nighttime lighting thing too. I think that was like one of the big things. And I remember a lot of the Alabama fans were like, "Oh, we do that too," and it's like, go away.
They always got to claim something, but
that's something. They always want to one up you.
They have to. It's the only thing they have, but besides their football team, everything else down there is crime. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Kevin, how would someone get in contact with you if they want to use your services?
Yeah, so if you want to see our services that we offer, you can go to icabackgrounds.com. And then if you want to get in touch with me directly, we do have a contact us button on there. Just put in your information, and then I'll get back to you, and we can talk more about what type of services that we offer. I mean, we offer everything from pre-employment background screenings for your specific company, no matter if you're a small company to a large company. Like I said, we do some of the private investigation type work. But what I try to do is customize every type of order. So if you're looking for any type of pre-employment or drug testing or anything like that, we do a lot of the drug testing that we do nationwide, and the work that we do is nationwide as well. So we're not just an Alabama based. That's the nice thing about background screening is we use databases. And it doesn't have to be specifically in the state of Alabama. So no matter where you are. So ICA Backgrounds with an S.com is where you can find us.
Awesome. And if you can give someone a bit of advice as they're moving forward to make that choice in their life to make a career, what would it be?
Be open-minded, take chances, don't say no. That is the biggest piece of advice I can give anybody. Like I had mentioned earlier, no matter what point of life that you're in, whether it's you're starting off and you're trying to find what path you want to go on, or if you're somebody who's looking for a change of pace, have an open mind and just don't say no. Take the leap of faith. That is all it takes. And don't feel like where you're at now. If you have that one itch of you're not comfortable, take the leap of faith, try something else, and I guarantee you it'll change your life. Because like I said, we get one shot at this crazy life we have. There's no sense to be, if you have the itch, go ahead and scratch it, because you may not get a chance to scratch it again.
Outstanding. That's great advice. Thanks for reaching out to me to come on, and I appreciate you taking your time to be on the show. And go Dogs.
Go Dogs. Thanks, Rich, again. Thanks for having me.
That was great chatting with Kevin, my Bastogne brother. Thanks for sharing your story, and keep us posted on your future successes. You know how we do this. Thanks for taking some of your time to spend with us on the Misfit Nation. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and share the link as much as possible. If you want to, please become a supporter to help us carry this thing on. We appreciate you. As always, till next time, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling. Because we are the Misfit Nation.